All right, microphone check 1 2. What is this? It's B Michael here with Shifting Paradigms Business, and we're live. We're here at the KUAW station at the W.B. Du Bois Learning Center, brought to you by the Black Family Technology Awareness Association at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. March 6, 2023. Time is flying, but we got a very special show tonight. I got one of my young lions, man, here on the show tonight, and he's going to be sharing with us what he got going on, and we're just going to be talking about, I don't even know what the paradigmatic is, brother, but we're going to just talk about building paradigmatic, because you're building your empire, and I can definitely respect and appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for being here. Let our listeners know who Jay Allen is, my man.
All right, Jay Allen, tech entrepreneur. I'm also a comic book creator, father. You name it. I pretty much have my hand in just about everything now. We're getting into animation with 2923 Comics.
Dope.
I'm just community worker. You name it, a DEI professional. I truly try to be a man of all trades, and that's actually how I'm raising my nephew and my son. And that's who I am.
Yeah. And you come from Kansas City, Southeast High School, you know what I mean?
58th Prospect. That's where I grew up at.
Yeah.
Raised by my grandparents right there off 71.
Rooted.
Yeah.
And we come across paths through the Upward Bound program.
Yeah.
Back in like 04, 05.
Yeah. We used to joke on Brian Michael Long. we used to joke, man. He was Mike we go by Michael Long now, but when we were his students, he used to be our counselor. We used to run him through the ringer. Me and my boy Cecil and Isaac, Arthur,
Louis Bird. Shout out to the whole crew.
But man, like I said, me and Cecil just had a conversation about Mike, and we just kind of said like the amount of patience that older black men had for us at that time, because we definitely was just wild, didn't listen to much. And I even asked him, like, man, why angry, mad, upset, didn't really know how to process those emotions. Yeah. But I even said, why didn't nobody tell my grandpa? Right, like, I was thinking about him, like, the number one older male in my life, no one, like, called and said, hey, Quan is acting up. Like, check him real quick. But nobody did that because I felt like the men that were around us feel like they had it in order. Like, they were like, oh, we don't need to call your grandpa. We got this in order. We'll get you together. So
and just, y'all weren't bad, yo. Y'all was just busy. Y'all was young. Y'all was, free. You know what I'm saying? Not really having the restrictions and the discipline that you got now. You know what I'm saying? So talk about your transition from that to where you are now. Like, what mindset did you have to put yourself in to get to a place where you can now move in the way you moving?
My mom said this in reference to like how I grew up, like, certain things that were happening, certain elements that were happening in life. My life wasn't actually supposed to be down this path. And I think I just woke up one day and I felt different. Like, I literally felt like a totally different person. And my mom says that all the time because in the Scarlet Night, we talk about how my brother and I were like, grew up in the same household, but went to totally different places in life. Like, he just got done serving a 9-year federal penitentiary stint. But at one point in time, we were going down that same path. Like, him and I were literally going down that same path. And one day I woke up, I was somebody totally different. Like, my path was totally different. So in reference to who I am now and developing the discipline that I have now, the goals that I have now, I just literally just woke up and just wanted more. Like, I was like, I had went to school, came back, tried my hand in a few things. And I just felt like empowered. Like, I was just like, man, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim to people in the community that feel like I can't do something, right? And then I start setting out my goals. I cut my hair, like, because I felt like that was part of Quan. Like, I felt like that was part of Quan. So I was like, you know what? We're going to roll on this Jay thing. Like, I'm going to see who I am as Jay now. Like, I felt Quan, like, evolving from Quan to Jay. Like, I felt that evolution. Wow. Started reading more, started changing my diet. Like, I haven't eaten fast food like the main chain now. I'll still mess up some Freddy's in a minute. But, like, I haven't ate, like, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King. Like, I stopped eating those completely, went cold turkey, changed my diet. Righteous. And I credit that also to my brother Nausi. He started reading, and then it started kind of like pushing it on us. I was like, I felt kind of dumb. Like, I was going to be the dumb one in the crew if I didn't start reading. So I just started reading. And then something else I did, I started finding things that interest me, right? Like relationships. And I just started like kind of just feeling like someone totally different, man. And I started developing different goals, different ways of life, different ways of living, and how I took care of my family. And then also my grandfather. Anybody that knows my story knows my grandfather was very important in my life. So when he started getting sick, I kind of felt myself also transitioning to that leadership role. So I couldn't do the same things that I was doing in that leadership role because how would he feel about that? So
legacy.
That also was a big influence. Then I had my son. And then I had my nephew, then I had my son. So then not only do I have the family looking at me like you the new leader, but then I got two people who are like dependent on me. My brother was locked up. My son was just born. I just had too much riding on who I was as a person for me to keep doing the things that I was doing. I wasn't living bad. I just wasn't living like how I'm living now, right? Very positive, taking care of myself mentally and physically every day, getting up, doing my stretches, meditating every day, right? I'm huge on meditation. And being a lot calmer than what I was 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, like it just I just kind of can see myself transitioning, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate who I am now.
That's real.
But I also appreciate the person I was.
That's deep.
Because I would have never transitioned from that person if I didn't see it was a problem.
That's deep.
So I loved it, man. I love who I am now. But seeing myself as a businessman, man, and especially coming from a household where I seen someone get up every morning. Like literally every morning, tired, like really tired. I was like, I'm not gonna be that guy. I can't. My grandfather did what he had to do to get us to where we were, took care of us. But I was like, bro, I want more than that. Like seeing him tired, like exhausted, like to the point where the most I'm tired of the day is I'm just mentally exhausted. But I can shut it down if I want to. That's what I crave every day. So, and I mean, I enjoy this part.
Yeah.
I enjoy this part.
That's righteous.
The process.
No doubt.
The process.
Yeah. Trust and respect the process. That's powerful, man. So you talk about the Scarlet Knight. Big up for that.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration? And I kind of know the story before our listeners that don't know the story. Talk about your inspiration going into the creation and the design for the Scarlet Knight.
So the Scarlet Knight,
and what it is,
I'll tell everyone what the Scarlet Knight is. So the Scarlet Knight is about two cousins who were raised in the same households by their grandparents. They return back to their hometown to be emergency room doctors. And it's pretty much they stumble upon a magic gem, Merlin's magic gem, and it turns them into knights in the modern day time. But also it turns other individuals in the community, and this is an underserved inner city community, it turns them into mythical creatures as well. And the mythical creatures connect with whoever they're attached to, right?
Wow.
So I went to Southeast High School, home of the Scarlet Knights. The story is loosely based on my brother and my cousin and I, how we were all raised in the same household but went to totally different places in life. Like even to this day, I get people that always say, like, bro, I would have never in a million years bet on the fact of who you are today. And that's a gift and a curse, right? Because at one point in time, I'm like, dang, bro, was I that bad? And some of the stuff I don't even remember. Like some of the stuff, so it kind of shows how I disassociated myself with some of the things that I was doing, right? And then and also it kind of goes into the fact of how we all like just shifted. Like they went their route in the streets, and then I just kind of like had a fork in the road and went left. And that's what the Scarlet Knight's all about. It's kind of like how these two cousins are feuding about what's the best way to save their community, what's the best way to get it, right? I am a Too Short fan. Just I got to throw that out there. And he said, "Getting it." Like one of my favorite songs is "Getting It," and he said, "I can teach you how to get it," right? And I was like, man, if I can apply all this knowledge that I was taught there to doing what I'm doing on a daily basis and also help kids. Because, I mean, people talk about the hood, but I'm like, bro, it was actually people in the hood that probably weren't doing so good, but was also giving me gems, right? Hey, take your butt to school, right? Make sure you stay in school. Hey, don't come off that porch. And when everybody knows what coming off the porch mean, right? Like, don't come off that porch. You stay where you are. You make sure you handle your business. And I just applied those principles to the Scarlet Knight. Like, I wanted to teach kids, like, you always come back to the community, right? That's what the Scarlet Knight is about. These two dudes went to school and they came back to give back to the community. And people are going to feud. Like, the whole inner city lifestyle is a whole bunch of people just feuding on how to save us, right? We're not on code. And that's what the Scarlet Knight's about. It's about two cousins is not being on code, like how to save
Right.
each other, right? Like how do we save each other, but most importantly, how we save our community. One person means think they can do it by force. Like I can force people to do what I want them to do because I got this new power. Another person like, nah, man, we got to do this a little bit gently, a little bit more gentle, and figure this out another way so we can save each other. And Scarlet Knight, man, it was a gift and a curse, man. I had so many kids just like wanting more, and I wish I had more funding, right, to produce more books. But also now I'm going into the animation realm because these kids soak up so much content.
Yeah.
I feel like I can save more kids that way.
through
But it's just to
animation.
teach them how to overcome those barriers in their communities and what they should do, because we can't change it if they don't come back. Like
Right.
if we send our kids out to the suburbs, we can't help the Kansas City, Missouri school district. We can't, because
Right.
all the smart kids, we're just sending them out, and the parents that have smart kids who don't have the money to or the means to move out to the suburbs,
Right.
they're struggling right now. The teachers don't have the means, they don't have the support. Phoenix's mother is an educator, and I hear all the time about all her barriers, right, that she's dealing with. I'm like, bro, like it just baffles me that we're not giving them the resources that they need to help these kids. And I feel like just me and my homies, I feel like that's who we was. Like we was the kids that were just making it happen with the best that we had, right? I went to Southeast, and there's a lot of great people, man. I went to Southeast, man. There are a lot of great parents, there are a lot of great community members. It's doing a lot of great things, but I always think like, man, what if they had the same resources those kids out in Blue Springs had?
Yeah,
Right?
whole
What
different
if they
day.
didn't have the struggles of mom and dad maybe not being home and working 16-hour days, and they have
Right.
resources like Upper Bound and the W.E.B. Du Bois Center, and they had these things, man. If they had these things on a constant and consistent basis, what would they be right now? But they living great lives now. So just think about who they would be with a little extra resources.
Yeah.
So I try to use the Scarlet Knight to talk about some of the storylines, some of the things that I experienced as a child. We talk about sexual assault. Like issue 2 talks about sexual assault. Like a young lady that I grew up with, I asked her could I use her story, but she was being molested by her uncle, and she was like, yeah, you can use my story. And she had a chance to harm him, like really harm him. And I put that in the story. I put that in issue 2. Talk about if a person has the power to harm those who harm them, that's the
Right.
real power. It's restraint.
That's power.
And so I talk about that in issue 2, and in issue 3 we talk about we go into like crooked individuals who run the city, right? And we just gonna keep just pushing and just putting them storylines out there, so where you don't even know you're digesting it. You don't even know you're digesting. You just know that you're just reading something for entertainment, but really it's really in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
So that's really what the Scarlet Knight is about, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what would you do if you had a chance?
Powerful. So what made you want to pitch it to like become an actual, publication that was going to pick up a deal, even to take it to animation? What clicked in your dome for you to get that stuff to the level you got it?
That was always a plan, but I didn't know Scarlet Knight was gonna do as good as it did. Right? I didn't know we were gonna be selling 10,000 copies. Like I didn't know that was gonna happen. So I just figured, like, I look at my son and my nephew all the time. Everything they watch is on streaming platforms, right? They're on YouTube, they're on Netflix, they're on Paramount Plus, they're on Disney Plus. I was like, bro, I'm only reaching like a piece of the community this way, right? And I'm not seeing any content that looks like me. Like I'm not seeing. Matter of fact, I'm lying. I just seen something like My Dad the Bounty Hunter. It's on Netflix,
Okay.
and this family looks just like my family. Kinky hair,
That's what's up.
kids.
It's called My Dad the Bounty Hunter?
the Bounty Hunter. It's on Netflix. Everybody go out there
Wow.
and check it out. It's a great great show, and it's science fiction.
It's anime?
It's animation, and it's
Good,
science
good.
fiction, and they look like us. They look like us. But I wanted to tell that storyline, but I also wanted to tell the storyline in the hood. Like, I feel like for a long time, I feel like fantasy was something that just stopped at the suburbs and the rural areas, right?
Right.
I was like, dude, like mythical creatures does not care to come to the hood. Like,
right.
I feel that same way about horror flicks. Like, I'm like, do zombies just stop
Right.
at
At
the
the hood.
suburbs?
Right.
Like, nah, we ain't going there, bro.
Right.
But I always think in my head, in the back of my mind, I always say, like, how would my neighborhood have like tackled like zombie apocalypse?
Yeah,
Like, how would
yeah.
that have happened with
That's
us?
good.
Would we have
That's good.
imploded?
Right.
Would we have survived? I mean, I know it was a lot of firepower there. Like, would we have protected each other?
Right.
Like, I always think about that stuff, so I kind of use the Scarlet Knight as that avenue to kind of see, like, how would we handle something like this? Like, How would you handle if one day you just woke up and you look like Medusa, like, and you had these powers? Like, how would you, and you know you've been sexually assaulted by your uncle?
Wow, right. Now you got all this power.
Now you got all this power. Like, what would you do? What would you do if you can turn to a knight and you can protect your community and you know all these things are happening in your community? You can you can fight that. You got the power to fight that. Or what would you do? Another part of my storyline. What would you do if you're a doctor and people who are harming your community? You got to save them now. Would you save them?
Right.
Would you save them? You have the power. First of all, black people already don't trust the healthcare system
At all.
So now just think you got somebody that look like you that's kind of saying like, I don't think I'm gonna save this dude with this gunshot wound. Like, it's not even the people with masks. It's the people that don't necessarily wear those masks. It's the people that we depend on every day to live and survive. Right? Landlords, your doctors, your attorneys. Right? Like, you think about all these people who are involved in just trying to take more control.
Yeah.
And what would you do? Like, you got a responsibility. Teaching people they got a responsibility.
Yeah. That's rich. And so that's one of the projects that you got going on now, right?
Yeah.
And so just, one thing I was thinking on that note too, Idris Elba is about to do some black anime, so you may want to, just
I'll tag
put
him.
a bug in his ear.
Tag him.
You can tag him, you know what I mean?
Go to Scarlet Knight IG, Scarlet_Knight 2923 and tag him. I got animation trailer up there right now.
That's rich.
Yep.
That's rich. And so now you got another baby that you're developing and bringing to the forefront, which is Venbu.
Venbu,
right? So let's talk about Venbu. What you got going on with Venbu?
So part of being an entrepreneur is just seeing what your pain points are. And when I was going to the Comic Cons, I just found like it wasn't a streamlined process to find these events to sell my product, like the markets, the trade shows, the Comic Cons, comic conventions. And I started realizing, I'm like, bro, what if it was an app that helped vendors locate and book like markets and trade shows to sell their products, right? So I developed this idea. I went to the Small Business Development Corporation. I'm actually now not a mentor, but I talk to them about market discovery now.
Okay.
So they call me to do this every quarter to do that. It's kind of funny. I was in that seat. Now I'm like kind of helping other entrepreneurs out. Yeah. But with Venbu, I went there, pitched to them, received a $20,000 grant to develop my app. I developed an event app during the pandemic where nobody was going to events, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking like, what the heck am I doing? Like, is this smart? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So it's funny now thinking about it, but I just had a mustard seed of like faith. I don't know. You can some people call it stupidity, or I just called it faith. Like, I just went for it, and
that's rich.
Next thing you know, right when the pandemic was kind of lifting up, I don't want to say that's disrespectful to people who are still losing their lives, but once things kind of opened up a little bit, right? We went to beta. Yeah. And what Venbu does now, man, you receive notifications of. You first get on it, you download it, you create a profile, say what you're looking for, in any events that matches what your needs are, you'll receive notifications of those events. You can favorite them. You can also track your expenses so that you can strategically sell and upload your receipts. So it's strictly catered to the vendor who's looking for those events. And not too long ago, I received another $50,000 in development to create a dashboard. So now the people who are creating these events can go on our platform, on one side of our platform, create their events, set their prices, accept and decline vendors. And now we're just in a process where we need to connect the app to the dashboard and marry the two.
There you go.
So once that happens, we'll have a full experience where the vendors will be able to find their events, the vendor directors will be able to create their events. And that's where Venbu has been. And, I tell people all the time, man, once you get out there and you hustle and you get it using that street knowledge, once you get out there and really put your feet to the ground, really hustle and really get out there, people will give you money. There's so many grants out here. I developed, I got probably like a $60,000, $70,000 grant. And I probably haven't paid more than probably $2,000 to $3,000 out of my own pocket. Right. The government or certain organizations or some people are giving me this because they want to see us grow. And one of my mentors told me this, and it's funny. I tell people, he said, you don't use your own money to start no business. You use other people's money. Because that way they're invested in you, and they're invested in the business, and they're not going to want to see it fail. Right. So now you got people who are going to be behind you, pushing you to the next level.
That's rich.
So that's what I've been. That's what I've been able to do. Something that I honestly promised I was gonna like pay my own money. I said if I got to pay $1,000 out of my pocket a month, I'm gonna do it to make this happen. And I think the powers that be, whoever you believe in, the world, the energy, whatever your spirits, it made it happen that way. So like I said, I probably haven't paid anything out of my pocket for real. Because everything's been built on grants.
And did you have a status 501c3 or anything with that?
Nope.
That's what's up.
When they're pitched, I think we maybe had our LLC, which it cost you what, 50, 60
right,
bucks.
That's
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Go in there, we pitched, and we made some sacrifices too. Like, don't get it twisted. We had to take like a tech venture class.
Mm-hmm.
That was like 6 to 9 weeks or something like that. They had a scholarship for that. That class is originally like $700, but if you live in the Kansas City, Missouri area, it's $75. Using your skills, getting out there, putting your feet to the ground, putting your ears to the streets, and seeing what's going on out there. What your options are.
Yeah.
I just didn't give up. I was just like, hey, these are my options, and you never know until you ask questions. So
that's real.
I was just hustling. Shoot, I went out there, took that class for 6 to 9 weeks, pitched, and I had to pitch to them 3 times. First time I did exceptional. Second time did terrible. Third time almost flawless. It was just like a boxer. If you into boxing, shoot, sometimes the rematch is the best fight. And, the first match, you're like, dang, man, I ain't do too well on that one. But, that third round, I was rocking and rolling. And we weren't ready the first 2 times. We weren't ready. Everything is timing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up. So let's talk about your transition, because I remember when you was working at the Swope Parkway Health Center, I think it was.
Yep.
So talk about your transition from, the 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship.
I don't think of myself as being a good employee. I've always thought myself to be a person to be like, I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't like people talking to me a certain way. I have a lot of great ideas, and I feel like the best way to make sure your ideas get used is have your own business. Nobody can tell me anything about Venba.
Yep.
Now, my investors might have a suggestion, and sometimes we may go back and forth. I'm like, hey, I think I should do this. My mentors might have a suggestion, but at the end of the day,
it's your decision.
It's my decision.
Yep.
And I'm open. I'm open to suggestions. I always, I don't know it all, but I have that final say so, and that feels good to me. So just making those decisions and going out on faith, trusting myself. It's been good. I don't see myself like being afraid or anything. My bills are paid, the son is taken care of, and that's all I can ask for. My nephews are taken care of. Heck, and my mom needs something, she got it. So, but you gotta put the work in, and I think that's what the biggest issue with a lot of people is they don't want to put the work in. You gotta put the work in. You gotta trust yourself, and you gotta know you got a viable business. Sometimes we'll get out here and we'll be like, man, I'm gonna try this, and you be like, bro, do you know if that's gonna work? You might have to still work while you doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
If you can still work and still make your dream happen, do it. Ain't no shame in having no job.
Right.
Ain't no shame in having no job. You just gotta know your strengths and your weaknesses.
100%.
To me, like I said, I lived in a house with a man that worked every morning, faithfully, night and day. Worked for the city, worked for the school district for 25 years. Got out of retirement, went to the city and worked for another 10, up until he got sick with cancer. Ain't nothing wrong with working. You don't work, you don't eat.
Yep.
So, but if you can make your dream happen at the same time, you better do it, because you best believe you're making somebody else's dream come alive. And they don't care. They don't care if it's your kid's birthday. They don't care. They don't care if you got a sporting event.
Right.
And if you know that, you need to figure out some other options.
That's 100. So we was talking, and I think this is probably going to be the biggest part of the conversation is your fatherhood and your father figure role. And what you got going on with Young Phoenix, man. So I definitely want to commend you for the work you putting in, with the Cub, because that's powerful, man. I follow you on Instagram. I'll be checking you out, man. And I definitely can see what Young Phoenix is becoming as a young lion, and what you got him involved with, athletically, what you got him involved with entrepreneurially, and just as a child, and developing him from that youth mindset to an adult.
Yeah. So
go ahead and expand on that some, and we'll just, we'll kind of just play off that back and forth.
Yeah. I think Phoenix Spirit like chose me. I think Phoenix Spirit chose me. Like I think he needed to be with me, and I need to be with him. Man, my son plays ice hockey. He plays lacrosse. He's a national boxing champion. He won the Junior Olympics last year. He was number one. Shout out to Gabriel Zandana, his opponent. He went to Silver Gloves this year and ended up beating his opponent. And now Phoenix will be moved to most likely number 2 and number 3.
How old is Phoenix again?
Phoenix is 10. So he was a national champion at 9. He's won an international hockey tournament at 9. Playing countries basically like the Olympics, playing countries like Puerto Rico, Venezuela. I'm trying to think of all the countries that he played. But one thing I tried to instill on my child, and I push this on everybody, man, show him there's no limits. I feel like for so long, like I had so many people in my life that like put limits on me. And so now like and it's funny because me and his mother, we try to actually keep some things from him because he will try it and he'll try it until he's good at it. So he's good at just pretty much anything he tries. Like he'll keep pushing himself until I remember this when he was 6. He was trying to whistle. So he practiced whistling every day, like almost all day and all day. Like it was so irritating to hear him do this all day. But he didn't want to stop until he learned how to whistle. That is how he pushes himself. Yeah. And man, we just show him like anything he want to do, he can do it. Any opportunity that comes about, we allow him to do it. Even it was hitting our pockets now recently because he was gonna go to Vegas to play in this tournament team, and we kind of like his mom was like, we got to pull some of this stuff back because we about to go broke trying to let him do everything he wants to do. And even now he DJs. He's been DJing for like the last 2 years. DJ Kid Nicks, check him out. But we just try to like just show him that anything he want to do, he can do it. And you know what I love about hockey versus boxing, he's just to me, I think he's just a natural boxer, natural fighter. He's kind of think he kind of gets that from his parents, but he goes in there and naturally does that. But hockey is the only sport he's had to work for. Really? He's had to get training, extra training for it. He's had to get up and do this. He's had to get up and do that. Yeah. And I think that's what motivates him to keep going every day, is that he has to like work at it. And man, I just try to teach the boys like, and I got my nephew too. My brother, I talk about my brother being incarcerated, so I'm involved in my nephew's life as well, man. But
How old is he?
He's 11.
So they're right there.
They're right next to each other. They're right next to each other. And I just try to teach them like just certain things that I wasn't taught. My grandfather was a huge influence on my life. Like one thing my grandfather I can say is that love was a verb in our household, right? The things that he did for me, he never had to tell me he loved me, not once. I knew he did. I knew he loved me and my grandmother just by the things he did every day. Being there every day, being present every day, being available when needed. I always tell this story, man. I went off to school, me and my boy Cecil, and I had a ticket that I did not pay. My grandfather gave me $90 to pay this ticket. And he asked me that morning, he said, son, did you pay the ticket? I lied to him. I said, no, I did not pay this ticket. That night, we go to Walmart, me and my boy Cecil go to Walmart, police pull us over. And as soon as that cop said, can I have your ID? I said, Cecil, first person I knew to call my grandfather. I said, I'm about to go to jail. I said, I have a warrant, bro. Man, I called my grandfather, and the first thing he said, I remember this like it was yesterday. My grandmother picked up the phone, and he said, who is on the phone? He said, it's Quan. He's in jail right now. He said, why is he in jail? He said, he didn't pay the ticket. And I can just hear him say, God, loud. He said, son, I told you to pay that ticket. I said, so are you going to get me? Are you coming to get me? He said, no. And he told my grandmother, hang up the phone. When you talk about your heart falling in your stomach, but that was a lesson that he was teaching me.
Huge. Yeah.
Was to be a man of standard. Like,
Right.
don't lie to me. You never had to lie to
Right,
me your
right.
whole life. Why would you lie to me now?
Right.
And I try to teach the boys that. Like, I will always be there. You already know I got your back, but never lie to me.
Wow.
Always have integrity. Always be a man about you, and be like, hey man, I didn't pay it. I'm gonna pay it tonight. Or even if it felt like you were gonna pay it tonight,
Right.
just be honest. So I try to have the boys say, hey man, if anybody in the world got me, I know my uncle got me.
Right.
I know my dad got me.
Right.
And I just try to establish that with them is trust.
Yeah.
Like trust. Like, I might not give them everything that they want, and I do most of the time. I overcompensate in my parenting and my uncling. But I just try to show them, like, bro, it's like, you do good, you get good things. That was something my grandfather always taught me. So I just try to give some of those values, but I add on to it. Like, I am a hugger. I hug the boys all the time. Try to show them it's nothing
Right.
weird about being hugged by your
Right.
dad or by your
Right.
uncle. I give them kisses on the top of the head.
Yeah.
Squeeze them tight. Heck, man, sometimes I even lay in the bed with them, watch TV.
Real
These are
talk.
things my grandfather never did.
Right.
But I try to show them,
Yeah.
like here,
The balance.
we have
Yeah.
a comfort and a nurturing coming from your fathers. Try to
Right.
teach them that,
Right.
so that I can break that generational curse.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad thing. My grandfather did what he could, But I like I told him, I try to show him it's no limits. Do your research. Like, I am I will find out anything I want to find out, and I
Right.
try to teach the kids that. Open a book early.
Crucial.
Didn't really open books when I was younger.
Crucial.
But except for comics, and that was rare too.
But that's a gateway though,
Yeah.
man. Comics are gateways.
Yeah, and they were, but I think my grandparents, they were from the South, man. They had they didn't really I don't think they went to school that long.
Right.
So those were certain things. Now my grandmother would still say, you do your lesson. So that kind of show you, like, her mindset. She was like, you do your lesson. I was like, well, we got real homework over here, grandma. But they kind of show you, like, they weren't too involved in that area, because I just think they just didn't know. Like, even when I went out to school, like, I put myself through school. So I did my mom. Like, my mom did her Pell Grant. I used to tell my mom, I need your tax so I can do my Pell Grant. Like, I'm a first-generation college student. My mom had me when she was 17. I was staying with my grandparents. They were raising me too. Like, it took a village to kind of get me here,
Yeah.
bro. So I kind of just try to show the boys like a different way of life. Like,
No
shoot,
doubt.
eating at the table. At grandma and grandpa's house, on Sunday we eat at the table, but most of the week, shoot, everybody go to their rooms. Nah, we eat at the table. We check
There you
in.
go.
What happened today? What was your win today? What's going on? What do I need to know? So I,
Right.
won't get out in the streets, and then I hear it through the streets. I want to hear from you.
Yep.
So yeah, there's just different things that I add on the parenting, like
Yeah.
some of the rules and some of the
That's
things my
rich.
grandfather had.
That's rich. You mentioned lacrosse, you mentioned ice hockey,
Yeah.
boxing. Okay, I can see boxing, but particularly in Kansas City, in a hood, ice hockey, lacrosse, that's not, sports that we're exposed to.
Yeah. Mhm.
What did you expose that to him? Did he gravitate towards that himself, Phoenix, or and how did he acclimate himself to those particular sports? Because
Yeah.
those are non-traditional sports in our neighborhood.
I'm a story guy, man. How this worked was I was taking Phoenix to football practice because I played football. Took him to football, and he hated it. He hated it. He hated every bit of
Wow.
it. He just, and I'm really big on, like, his spirit didn't want it. He just didn't want it. Like, he was just like,
That's
no.
interesting.
He was like, no. He just kept saying, like, no, I do not want to be here. Like,
Wow.
and I did everything. I yelled at him. I tried to force him out there. Like, it was just like, I was like, you gonna like it? You gonna keep trying? And one day I just gave up. And I remember us watching Mighty Ducks. He was little, man, probably like 4 or 5 years old. I remember us watching Mighty Ducks, and he was like, can I do that? I want to do that. And I was just like, I guess, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So then we went to,
Wow.
I met this guy named Aaron. Like, shout out to Aaron, who helped us go to our team now. But I went and bought some skates. I didn't know what to do. I went and bought some skates from a guy at Freddy's while I was working, and he was like, man, just curious, who you buying these skates for? And I told him, I said, I'm buying it for my son. He said, is you trying to play hockey? I said, yeah, I guess. He was like, well, take him to try hockey for free day. Took him to try hockey for free day. And it was freaking terrible, man. I mean, just the parents, people was there. They were just acting so rude.
Wow.
But
None
Phoenix,
of us. It was none of us there. Huh?
no, not at all.
Exactly.
I didn't see a black face at all, and I was just like, man, what the heck is going on? But I saw my son so involved in what he was doing.
Wow.
He didn't even know his environment around him was hostile.
That's deep.
Like, he was just so involved in what he was doing. He was out there on the skates, and he was just having a good freaking time, man. And so then I ended up calling that guy Aaron again. Aaron was like, man, bring him to Lion Creek. And I called Lion Creek. I said, look, I got a black son. We just tried hockey. They were rude here. I just need to know if my son gonna be safe. I said, because I got a bad temper.
Right.
And now I'm even more protective right now because my child is in this environment.
Yep.
I need to know, is he safe? And the dude is Coach Jimmy. Shout out to Coach Jimmy, man. It's Phoenix's first coach. He said, I don't care what color he is. He want to play? And I was like, yeah. He was like, and he talked to me just like old school dude. He said, I don't care what color he is. Do he want to play? And I was like, yeah, he want to play. And I'm talking back crazy. And he was like, well, bring him to practice.
Yeah.
Brought him to practice on a Wednesday. He was playing on Saturday.
Wow.
He never taken any like the traditional class kids are supposed to take.
Yeah.
Because at that time it wasn't grown here.
Right.
Like they literally needed him on the ice. That's how many people wasn't there. So Phoenix learned how to play hockey from an old school hockey guy on the fly. So that's how he's learned how to play hockey over the years. Yeah. And I mean, he's gotten better. A little rough around the edges. Everybody always says this about Phoenix, like he's super aggressive. They say but he got to work on his skating. And we've been working on his skating. We train a lot. We train with a lot of good coaches. He's also, speaking about black folks, he plays on a tournament team called Hockey People of Color. They played in that Amerigo tournament down in Miami, that international tournament. He's played with them. He's going on his second season playing with them. Oh, so these are BIPOC kids from everywhere. Yeah. Puerto Rican, black, Asian. They all get together for two or three tournaments a year. Yeah. They play together. He's also played on a few other tournament teams and club team, and he's been rocking and rolling, man. He's probably, I would consider him to be one of the best in the city. I think a few other coaches would consider him to be some of the best in the city. We just trying to navigate, just being honest, we just trying to navigate the racial and the politics of it. I don't play politics well. I'm a very boisterous person, man. I was always telling my house, so you better say what you got to say, or it's consequences. Right. And I live my life like that through my son. But when I tell you he's so involved in what he's doing, he don't even notice. But he also notices when, like they said, a kick dog knows when he being stepped over a kick. Right. My son definitely would come to me and be like, hey, Daddy, so-and-so said something to me. I didn't like it. I said something back. Or so-and-so said something. Can you talk to him? Like he'll tell on the coach or somebody in a minute. Like he'll be like, no, I didn't like how that felt. So teaching him how to be expressive with his feelings. And I credit, I just found out about Jason Wilson not too long ago, but I credit a lot of that too. A lot of the things I kind of teach things I learned from Jason Wilson. Yeah. Teach them how to express themselves well. And I even tell them, like, you can tell an adult. See, back in the day, older adult tell you to be quiet. You got to be quiet. Nah, that's not how I teach the boys. I teach the boys like, hey, it's a way of doing it. Hey, hey, Mr. Long, I necessarily don't like how you talk to me in that way. Is a possible way that we can speak on this. That's kind of how I teach the boys, man. Just trying to teach them emotional security early. That's rich. But yeah, I mean, like I said, man, this dude in lacrosse. Yeah, I was about to ask somebody else just said, hey, Phoenix should play lacrosse, and then we took him out there, and he just likes it. Wow. Phoenix is technically an only child. I think he cares more about being around other kids and being in that. He loves the camaraderie of being an athlete and helping his teammates. Because, I mean, I bet you $1,000 it ain't an athlete in the city that's played with my child that can tell you that Phoenix don't care about his teammates. My mom. I mean, we seen it this hockey season. We had to dial him back in, but it was a couple of times we was like, son, man, calm down. But he's a lover, man. He loves his boys. He loves his teammates. But yeah, man, they just told us to take him out there. This is his third season playing lacrosse. Okay. And he just played in the Jamboree this weekend. And he's gassed, so we working on his cardio again. But he just, man, these are sports that black people play. We just don't know it. And honestly, hockey, from what I did some research on hockey, it was an African sport. It was. And then lacrosse, Native American. A Native American sport. So when you look at the history of that,
even like baseball, we just get kind of marginalized.
Yes.
Through that, you know.
And teaching your child that. Like
Exactly.
I tell Phoenix this all the time. I said Phoenix, even with lacrosse, I said this is not your sport. This is not your sport. This is their sport. And you're blessed enough to be allowed to play in their space. I got another fraternity brother. He's completely 100% Native American. He grew up in Nebraska. And I had him talk to Phoenix. Like talk to him about your sport. And I think a lot of times, a lot of these kids are playing a sport and don't even know it's an indigenous sport. It's their sport of medicine. It's what they did for healing. I feel like that's very important. Like I remember one time Coach Jimmy, shout out to Coach Jimmy again. Coach Jimmy asked Phoenix, he said, "Who's Willie O'Ray, Phoenix?" And Phoenix said, that's the first African American to break. No, that's the first black to break the color barrier in hockey. He knows his history. I said, man, we ain't just out here, just on the ice and playing with this stick and don't understand the history of why he's there. You ask him who the original Black Ice is. He'll tell you. Yeah. And we call him Black Ice. He'll tell you who the real Black Ice is, who the original is, the first African American to break the color barrier.
That's rich.
So we try to see Willie O'Rea's Canadian, and then I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but his name is Black Ice. He was the first African American to break the color barrier. He played for I want to say he played for the Maple Leafs, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I try to teach Phoenix this history, man. Like, it were people, you standing on the shoulders of giants. You standing on the shoulders of people who sacrificed a lot just for you to be on the ice or play lacrosse. Huge. Or, and, sometimes you just see it as a white sport or an elitist sport. We ain't elite, bro. We broke too. Yeah. We just make sacrifices for him to be where he is.
That's real. So one thing we were talking about before we got into on air was how Phoenix reconciles being a child with attaining his goals.
Oh, yeah.
So expound on that some. And even with the Cave of Adulam and return to Brother Jason Wilson and how all that impacts, like talk about that. And we'll probably have to wrap that up with this part here. But that's powerful right there.
Yeah, I talk about Phoenix all the time. I actually had a conversation with his coach one time. We were taking him down to a boxing match. And Phoenix, actually, it was kids playing in the neighborhood. And we were packing Phoenix up to go to a boxing match. And you can see he was conflicted. He wanted to be there, but he also had a goal that he wanted to achieve. He wanted to beat this kid. And him and his coach and I were having a conversation. I said, Phoenix sacrifices a piece of his childhood to do these things. Oh, wow. He, when other kids are outside playing, he's going to like boxing, or he's going to hockey, or he's going to lacrosse. Yeah. And I remember it was funny. So he was playing football. He went outside. He wanted to play football with the kids in the neighborhood, and we finally let him go out there. He's like, yeah, go out there and play. So they give Phoenix the ball, and Phoenix just like jets to the right. And they was like, Phoenix, come back. You're not supposed to be on that side. And it dawned on me that he's never played a sport without walls. Wow. He's always played in the ice rink. So like to see that he's now, or even riding a bike. Phoenix didn't learn to ride a bike till he was 8 years old, because he was training for these 3 sports, and he never learned how to ride a bike. We had to teach him how to ride a bike just a few years ago. Yeah. And it just kind of shows you, like, sometimes I even ask myself, like, are we doing too much? But like, if Phoenix didn't want it, we're giving him what he wants. But the day that he says, like, I don't want it anymore, then we'll stop. But he sacrifices a lot, man. And sometimes you get sad about that. You be like, dang, man, even like seeing his cousins, like, they'd be like, hey, we having a birthday party for so-and-so, and we'd be like, man, we got to go to a tournament in Miami. Or matter of fact, he's going to miss, man, speaking about that, his one of his best homies, his name is Angel, is his boxing teammates. They've been together since they was 4 years old. They've been training together. His birthday party is this weekend. Wow. And we got to go to a tournament. Wow. And I was like, son, we got to go to a tournament. He's like, I'm about to miss this party. I said, yeah. His first party he ever missed. Wow. Because I was like, do you want to go? You don't have to go to the tournament. He's like, well, what about my teammates? This is what it came out of his mouth. I said, this your teammate too? He said, yeah, but I already agreed to go to that, right? Wow. And he's looking to me to tell him no. I said, I can't tell you no, son. Right, you gotta make that decision. Yeah, that's rich. And he was just like, I'm gonna go play hockey. Yeah. And I said, well, what we'll do, I've done this before. I said, well, you can have your homie come spend the night. And y'all have y'all time, y'all play the game, y'all eat pizza, y'all do what y'all do, you just gonna miss this party. And these are just things, and I tell everybody this before they put their kid in club sports. There is a lot of things they will sacrifice, and their childhood is one of those. And there's a very good chance you can burn them out before they even want to go long term with the sport.
Right.
So you have
Lose
to
their love for the game.
You lose their love for the game.
Yeah.
And there's been times like he'll be like, I don't want to go.
My mom.
I'm like, you sure? And he'd be like, yeah. And you gotta sometimes you gotta decipher, is he just being lazy?
Right.
Or is he just really don't want to go?
Right. Disconnecting.
And after he won Junior Olympics, he was like, I want to take a break. So everybody was like, you gonna take a break at the height of what you just won a national championship.
But he gave it up for that.
And he had no matches. He wasn't in the gym. He wasn't doing that for like 2 or 3 months.
My mom.
And he was just I think he went
decompressing, bro.
Yeah, he just went and he went to go see his teammates.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was like, I said, bro, they said they got a fight finish this weekend. This kid want to fight you, and he looked at me and was like, nope. He didn't care.
Wow.
But you got to teach your kids that emotional security to be able to tell you no. You got to build that relationship. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I can tell like he's a little like, I don't want to tell daddy this.
Yeah.
And he'll go tell mama like,
yeah,
I want to break. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And then mama will be like, he want to break. I'm like, all right. I'm like, son, you could have told me that.
Yeah.
So, even this morning, he gets up, every morning he gets up, runs his mile. He runs his mile, he does his push-ups and his pull-ups. Because Phoenix now plays 12U. So he plays up. He's only 10.
Yeah.
So the kids are bigger. Some of them are stronger. And I told him, I said, well, to prepare you for this,
You gotta build.
we got to be stronger. We got to be faster.
Right.
So he gets up every morning, he runs his mile, he does his push-ups, does his pull-ups, does his sit-ups.
That's powerful.
And then this morning he got up and he was like, you can tell he was debating me on doing things that he does every morning. He was like, well, if I do my mile, do I got to do my push-ups and pull-ups? I said, if you want to do it like that, I said, that's on you, that's fine, but you got a tournament this week. I'm just letting you know. And he didn't care. So he was like, okay. He said, I'll do my mile. He did his mile. He went right upstairs in the room and closed the door until it was time for school. So I just kind of like I said, when you put your kids in these sports and you try to make them an elite athlete, you just got to be aware of the sacrifices that they're making to do so. They're
emotionally,
their children, still children.
Yeah.
He's only 10. Just 5 years ago, we were still helping him wipe his butt.
Right.
Like, you got to think about things like that. Like, not too long ago, he was still getting breastfed by his mom before that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to process these things and know that sometimes they're not going to be able to articulate how they feel all the time. But he's doing well, man. He's stubborn like his dad used to be. So when he ain't moving, he don't care. He's like, nope, you have to throw me out this roof if you want to. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but he got an excellent teacher, man, and I've just seen your development. And like I said, I follow you on social media. I haven't spoken to you in a while, like person to person.
Yeah. But
I see you. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely am proud of you as a man, man, because you your growth has been powerful, bro. That's beautiful. Yeah. That is beautiful, man. So tell the people how they can get in contact with Jay Allen.
Yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram as Jaquan so JUAQUAN_THA. Scarlet Knight also has an Instagram, Scarlet_Knight 2923. Also, if you're looking to add your event, you can go on myvenbu.com, Venbu app on Instagram and Facebook as well. And just like I said, hit me up. Even if you want pointers or help or you're trying to do something, people help me. And that's my obligation, is to make sure that you're taken care of. I just want to see you win. And when I tell you, I get so many people in my inbox asking for help, or can you do this? Can you teach me this? And I just, man, like I said, I don't care what time of night. I get up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to meditate and stretch, do whatever I got to do. Heck, I don't care if you call me at 6:30. If you need help with something, just let me know. Text me. I'm here to help. So other than that, like I said, I'm everywhere. I'm accessible. I'm still down to earth. I'm still KUAW from 58th. Don't ever feel like you can't contact me if you need help.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Jay Allen, man. Scarlet Knight founder, my Venbu founder, just doing this thing. Check him out. But I definitely want to thank my listeners for tuning in. I always want to give a shout out to Baba G on the ones and twos, keeping it up and holding it down with KUAW. But this is B. Michael here. This is Building Paradigmatics with Jaquan Herring. Man, we did our thing. Peace and power to everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Peace.
Shalom, shalom.
Oh, man, I hope that helped somebody.
Oh, man, no doubt.
Man,